Hello and welcome to the 7th video in this BiteSize Pandas series. So we're going to continue on with the from the merging we looked at in the last video. I've got the code, basically the same code as we had in the last video open here. The only difference being, I've removed the feet and the paws. The data frames are back to where they were, just with the 3 columns. And we have our inner join running here and our merge data frame with our 2 dogs and our cat. Now, I won't explain any of that because it's been explained just in the last video. What I'd like to do in this video, though, is have a look at the different options that are available apart from this inner. There's left, outer, and right. And I wanted to explain what they do because they're really, really critical and why you might want to use them. So let's run, if we remember that we ran our inner merge here, and we ended it with our 3 rows because we looked for every instance of dog in the left table or data frame. We got a row for every instance of dog in the right-hand data frame, and so on. Now, 2 dogs and our cat. Let's run this with left instead and see what we get. So our merge data frame now has a lot more. We have our 2 dogs as before. We have our cat as before. We also have our pig and our horse. And for town, we've got not a number, or essentially null, no value. So why have we got that? What's happened? Well, the left works slightly different to the inner. The inner, you remember, said take each row one by one of the left, and then go through and analyse each row one by one of the right. The left will take each row of the left, and if we don't find anything that we're merging on in the right, give us the values anyway from the left-hand table and just put null or not a number for the missing values in the right-hand table. So what we end up with is, for our dog, we end up with our 2 dog rows. We then have our cat, and we end up with our single cat. And then, of course, we find that we don't have a pig or a horse present in the right-hand side table. We've got dog and duck. But the 100 pig 6 and 400 horse 3 still get created for us at the bottom here with the left, but from the right-hand side, the town is just put as null. So the left will say, take all of the rows from the left-hand data frame, even if we don't find the value that we're merging on in the right-hand data frame. And you can probably imagine already what right is going to do. It does exactly the opposite. We still do what happened with inner, so we still, where we find something that merges, put those rows, but now anything that's not found in the left data frame but is in the right data frame we'll add on. So in this case, our duck is not present in the left-hand data frame, but we'll still add it on because we're using a right merge. And for the weight and the age, because we don't have them from the left data frame, again, we'll just put not a number or null. So we end up with our duck that lives in Milano. So it's actually quite a straightforward and relatively easy concept to understand. The last one is outer. And you can probably guess what happens with outer. We now get both. We get the result of the left, the inner, the right. We get everything combined, or the left and the right combined. So now we get everything. So we're joining or merging on animal. We get everything we have in the left-hand data frame, even if we don't find something in the right hand, which is our pig and our horse. And we get everything that's in the right that's not in the left, which is our duck as well. And where there are no values from the respective data frames, we just get null. So might you want to do this. Imagine you've got some data frames with millions of rows, not just 4 like here. So you can't just print them out on the screen and have a look. And you do your merge, and let's say you expect to find from your left table all of the values existing in your right-hand side table. For instance, let's say you've got a list of, I was playing with the Kaggle, one of the Kaggle databases the other day. Let's say you've got a list of items that go through various phases of factory, let's say, and you have that item at phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and each of those items has for its name a specification number. You would expect if your left was all the times each item went through a phase and the right was the specifications table, you expect if you did an inner join that for every instance of the item in the left, you would find in the specification table a result in the right. So you would look at your merge data frame and do a shape and see that you've got a number of rows. Here I've got 3 rows, it's saying. in my final merge data frame. What you should then do though, if you're expecting to find everything, so in our case, imagine we were expecting to find every animal here, also in animal towns, then we would do a left merge and look at the shape. And now we find that after the left merge, we've actually got more rows. And this should be a warning sign. It's a classic problem and a classic cause, and I speak from personal experience here, of losing data unexpectedly after a merge. And what you would need to do then is investigate, okay, where do I have my null values? And there is a case really of actually doing a slice of the data frame for null values. And the question is, how do I do that? Well, let's, for example, say, I know I didn't find anything from my animal towns, and one of the columns I have there is town. So let's just slice this data frame for where I couldn't find town. And it's quite easy. So I just say no town, I'll call it df data frame, is equal to, then my merge data frame, square brackets, where my merge data frame dot town dot is null. And that evaluates to true, and anything here then will give me a data frame where all of those values were null, and I can see then the corresponding values from the left-hand table that weren't found in the right-hand table. Conversely, I could look for only the values where that wasn't the case and put that equal to false, and then get the opposite result as well, where I did find results in both of the tables. The other thing you might want to do often in your data frames, if I just rerun this again, is you might want to actually replace your null values with something. So if I just look at our merge data frame again, you'll see that we've got some null values here. So let's say I want to replace town instead of null, because this is empty and it can get a bit complicated later on. I actually want a string saying, let's say not found. All I have to do there is just take the name of the column, which in this case is town, and then just do fill NA and specify what I would like to fill this with. So I'll fill it with not found, and I need to do something called in place here, equal to true, so that I actually operate on this data frame, and now this merge data frame will have not found in the place of the name of the town. So quite a brief video, but hopefully gives you an explanation of how you would use the other options, the left, the outer, and the right merging as well, depending as to whether you know what data you've got already in your tables. But it's especially useful to play around and make sure that you're getting the number of rows out of your data that you expect in the end. So any questions or anything, then put me a question. Otherwise, thanks very much for watching, and see you in the next video.